So, you've done all the incredibly hard work of building a trauma responsive program. That's amazing. But now comes the real challenge, right? Making it last. How do you actually prove it's working without, breaking the very trust you've worked so hard to build? How do you make sure it becomes a true legacy and not just another passing project? Well, let's dive in and break down exactly how to build for that legacy.
Let's start with the biggest question on the table. You've poured in the resources, the training, the late nights. You can feel that it's making a difference. But how do you actually know it's working? How do you measure something as deeply personal as healing without stripping it of its humanity and making it feel cold and clinical? All right, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with a tension I bet you felt, what we're calling the evaluation paradox. Then we'll talk about redefining success by measuring what truly matters. We'll cover how to avoid that dreaded initiative graveyard. We've all seen them. And finally, we'll look at how to take this from just a program to the core of your organization's identity. Okay, let's get right to the heart of it. There's this fundamental tension that exists in this work. The very act of trying to prove your impact can, ironically, feel like it's chipping away at the foundation of trust and safety you're trying to build in the first place. You see this clash right here. On one hand, you've got traditional evaluation. It loves neat, clean, upward trending lines on a graph. It assumes progress is linear. But then, on the other hand, you have the reality of healing, which is messy. It's a scribble, not a straight line. Sometimes progress means taking 2 steps back to take 1 giant leap forward. And the most profound changes, like someone finding their voice again, they just don't fit neatly into a spreadsheet. This is why evaluation has to be for learning, not just for ticking an accountability box. So here it is, the paradox in a nutshell. Your funders, your board, they need to see that this is working. But the usual tools, the checklists, the surveys, can feel totally disconnected from your core values and can even feel re-traumatizing for the people you serve. Now, the answer isn't to just throw out measurement altogether. No way. It's to fundamentally rethink what we're measuring and, more importantly, why. And that brings us right to the solution. It's all about shifting our entire perspective on what success actually looks like. It means we have to move beyond those simple, surface-level metrics and really embrace a holistic view that captures change on every single level. So for individuals, success is so much more than just symptom reduction. Real, lasting change is about rebuilding relational capacity, that core ability to trust and form healthy connections again. It's about restoring a person's sense of self, their dignity, their agency, their hope. It's about developing tangible coping skills for real life and, crucially, helping someone make sense of their own story. These are the deep, life-altering changes we're really after. And let's be real, you absolutely cannot pour from an empty cup. Your program is only as healthy and effective as the people running it, so we have to measure their well-being. Are we seeing compassion satisfaction, that incredible feeling you get from helping others? Or are we seeing burnout and high turnover? Because a high staff turnover rate, that's a massive red flag. Investing in your team isn't just a nice thing to do. It's a direct measure of your program's sustainability. Then, of course, this scales up to the entire organization. Is this work just some shiny side project, or is it actually becoming part of your organizational DNA? You can measure this. Is there real psychological safety, where staff feel safe enough to speak up, to be vulnerable, to make a mistake? Are those mistakes treated as opportunities to learn, not reasons to blame? And maybe most importantly, do the people you serve actually have a real voice in the decisions that affect them? That's how you know it's taking root. And finally, we've got to zoom all the way out, beyond the walls of our own organization. The goal isn't just to have a perfectly healthy tree growing in a little box. The goal is for the roots of that tree to break out of the box and change the entire landscape. Are you building real bridges of trust in the community? Are you helping to reduce stigma? Are you influencing your partners and local policies? Because the ultimate goal isn't just to help people survive a broken system, it's to change the system itself. Okay. Measuring your impact is one thing, but how do you make sure that impact isn't just a flash in the pan? This next part is all about making sure your incredible work doesn't end up in that place where so many well-intentioned, brilliant projects go to quietly fade away. I'm willing to bet this phrase, the initiative graveyard, is going to resonate with a lot of you. It's that painfully familiar pattern where a great idea starts with a bang, but then slowly loses momentum and just disappears. Let's look at exactly how that happens. Does this whole cycle sound familiar? It always starts with a big, exciting launch. There's tons of energy, training for everyone, so much hope. But then reality hits. Other demands creep in. Key staff members who champion the work leave, and they take all that knowledge with them. Then new leadership comes in and says, oh, that was the last director's project. And poof, before you know it, that program that was going to change everything is barely even a memory.
And here is the absolute most crucial takeaway. Sustainability cannot, and I mean cannot, depend on one or two passionate heroes holding it all together. It's not about heroics. It's about deliberately and thoughtfully building durable systems, the policies, the funding streams, the supervision structures that allow this work to outlast any single person. So how do you build that infrastructure that's designed to last? You create a sustainable learning engine. And this isn't just a nice idea, it's a non-negotiable process of constantly reflecting, adapting, and getting better together. This is not some vague, abstract concept. It's about concrete practices that you actually put on the calendar. You schedule quarterly reviews to make those small, important course corrections. You do annual deep dives to look at all the data and feedback. And every 3 years, you have a strategic review to ask the big questions. This rhythm turns evaluation from a task you dread into the very engine that drives your growth.
And that brings us to the final stage, the ultimate goal. This is the point where being trauma responsive is no longer a program you run. It's just who you are. It's your core identity.
So what does that actually look like in the real world? Well, you hear it in the language people use. It just becomes natural, automatic. You see it in the decision-making process, where is this trauma responsive? Becomes a standard filter for everything. It gets baked right into how you hire and onboard new people. And ultimately, it becomes your reputation. When the community knows you for this work, that's when you know you've made the leap from program to identity.
And this right here, this is the whole point. True legacy, true sustainability, it isn't about one charismatic leader or one big grant. It's when the work is woven so deeply into the fabric of your organization that it can outlast founders, it can outlast funding cycles, it can outlast any shifting priorities. It just becomes who you are.
So I'm going to leave you with one final, and I think pretty critical question to ponder. If you, the person listening to this, the one championing this work, if you left your organization tomorrow, what would happen? Does the whole thing crumble? Or have you built a system that is strong enough to carry the work forward without you? Your honest answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know about the legacy you're building right now.